Have you ever wondered how an artist can have 10,000 followers or subscribers, but when they drop something new, it's like crickets. Nobody's listening. It's the same thing on Spotify. I have 176,000 followers, and yet only 4% have streamed my latest release. My name's Chris, also known as the Artist Manifest. I have about 500,000 monthly listeners, and I'm the author of the best-selling books, Spotify Profits, and Song Launch Checklist. So what's the point of having followers and subscribers if they don't even stream or watch your song, and how can we fix it? Whether you have a big following or a small following, these tips are going to help. So the number one thing we need to know is that just because someone's following you on Spotify or even social media, they're not going to get notified about your new song or your new post, at least not automatically, unless they've got notifications turned on social media. But then again, you just never know, right? And for social media, if you even notice, like even if you follow someone, you're not necessarily seeing their latest posts. You're seeing whatever you're engaging with most recently, because the algorithm is really going based on not who you're following, but what are you actually engaging with? Like, what do you actually like and listen to when it comes to Spotify? And then they're going to serve you more of that. Like I've even noticed on Spotify, and let me know what app you use to stream music. I love Spotify. I use YouTube a little bit to listen to music. But if I've streamed a certain artist for a while, then my release radar, because I always check release radar every Friday because I like to see what the new songs are. Like if I've listened to a artist just recently, then that song will show up in my release radar, right? Because the app knows that, like, hey, you've been listening to that, so we're going to serve you more of that. So it's really about what you're engaging with. And number two is, like, some fans have found you because of playlists, because of a curated playlist, or you've listened to a certain playlist. Maybe it's Discover Weekly, maybe it's radio, and it's more passive, right? So it's like, even me, it's like I'm listening to something, but I'm not like really diving deep into it. And so it's not really triggering the algorithm enough for them to show it to me, right? Like, so this is the difference between like passive listeners versus active listeners. Like last year, there's this artist I had never even heard of called Jelly Roll. And then I heard some of his old stuff and I was like, wow, this is dope. And so I went from like not even knowing who this person is to like deep diving to the point where I even like bought his vinyl and I bought like some packages. But now, most recently, his latest release, I listened to it a little bit, but now I've become an unengaged fan. So I'm not listening as much. And even his new album, it was just like I listened to it a little bit, but I didn't really grab it. Which leads me to number three is that sometimes an artist will release a song that you're just not vibing with. And that's what it was like for his latest album. I didn't like the latest one as much as I did with the one before that. And so I actually became unengaged. And so they're not serving it to me as much. And so sometimes we do this as artists, and I'm sure you can relate to this, where one of your favorite artists released a new album and you're just like, or they released a new song and it just didn't hit, right? So you just didn't engage. And so sometimes we upset our fans and we don't release music that they love. Like seriously, sometimes fans will just be like, like they'll like leave comments. It's okay. Where sometimes when you drop a banger and it just blows up. And how many of you can tell me like, you know when you've hit it on the nail? Like in my I have a fan club where I hang out with my fighters there. It's called my fighter club, and I hang out with my fans every month, and I play them new songs that aren't even released yet. And it was really interesting to see the response of this new song that I play that's coming out next year. They like lit up. And they lit up a lot more to that one than other ones that I've previously played. So that tells me that I need to go deep on this song. I've hit something, right? And so that's our job as artists, man. We got to keep dropping bangers. And the other thing is, and this is what I told one of my coaching students in my Fanbase University program, is that he had this song that did really, really well. And I said, dude, do another song like that. Like he wanted to do something different kind of. And I'm like, yo, do another upbeat, happy song. The song was like, Fridays are good, like a feel good Friday or something like that. I was like, well, do another one. Do something kind of like on good vibes or no bad days or something like that. One of those like terms. Write something that's another feel good song, because obviously this is resonating. So do something different but similar. Isn't that what fans want? They always want more of the same. But what we do as artists is like, sometimes it's like when something's working, we're like, oh, well, I'm going to go do something completely different now. Where it's like, look, lean into that. Lean into that. Lean into what's working. What's really interesting is I'm a big fan of Linkin Park. Loved Hybrid Theory, loved Meteoria, Minutes to Midnight, got a little fringe, got a little crazy. It was good record. But then after that, I didn't really connect to the albums like I did before. They just didn't hit it for me. And now, I don't know, 14, 15 years later, they dropped this new album with this new singer, this female vocalist, and obviously rest in peace, Chester Bennington, if you're a fan. But this new album is just amazing. Like, I just love it. And it's just like they've re-engaged me. And that's the thing. We can re-engage our fans. And at the end of the day, and we're going to talk about it, marketing obviously helps. But at the end of the day, it's the songs that resonate. Because if a song is resonating and people are streaming that thing and it's hitting those emotional chords, so they're streaming it again, they're adding it, they're saving it, well, then the algorithm is just automatically going to start sharing that out. And not just on Spotify, but on social media. So we got to stop focusing on all these followers and all these subscribers and start focusing on the real thing, which is just like banging content, knowing our audience, and really making it happen. But one of the ways you can reactivate your fans, other than just rocking banging songs, is, are you building an email list? Do you got an email list to like remind them? And like when I got a new video or a new song, like I hit that list a few times. I don't just hit them once about it, because I don't know if they opened it. And if they opened it, I don't know if they clicked on it, right? Like, because if they don't open and they don't click, then they ain't streaming or they ain't watching, right? So we need to bring them back. Ask them to share it, right? So this is the same thing with social media, posting about it multiple times, because as we know, they might not have seen the first one. And it's not just posting the same thing over again, it's doing something different, because like if you can get the right post and hit that algorithm, then it gets shared out more. Because again, how many of you have looked at your posts and like some did a lot better than others, right? And it's again, okay, why did that one do good? How can I do more of that? Because like we think, oh, I posted about it so everybody saw it. No, obviously they didn't, right? And then to go further in that, then the one that did good, run ads to that about the song. And so don't just rely on the algorithm, force the song in their face, right, on social media and tell them about it by running ads. Second thing similar to that is if you have a big following on Spotify, which I personally do, and only 4% out of 176,000 are seeing my song. So how can I tell people about that song? Well, there's Spotify Marquee and there's Spotify Showcase, which honestly, I'm not going to lie, it rubs me the wrong way that I have to pay Spotify to reach even more of my audience. But at the end of the day, like if it's not really taking off algorithmically, well, then let's force it to happen. Let's get some more eyeballs in this. And honestly, it's just part of the game. I ain't going to hate on the game. I'm going to learn the game. And the fourth reason why someone might not be streaming you is just honestly is competition, And this is the thing. If you ain't going to do the social media, if you're not going to email the list, if you're not going to do Spotify Marquee, right, and all these things, your competitors are, and the artists that really want it. And I got to be honest, most artists don't want it. 90% of artists don't want it. As I shared in my other video, what is it? 80% of artists have less than 50 monthly listeners. And it's because they'll get mad, just like me, get mad that, oh, I have to pay Spotify or I have to do whatever. Yet I was looking in my Spotify account Marquee because I did a collaboration with this artist who was on a label, and it blew me away how much money they spent on retargeting the audiences. So not only did they do a collaboration with me and get me on a song with this other artist, so now like they're tapping into both audiences. They're like, look, this is an opportunity. We're not going to waste it. So we're going to spend all this money to make sure all of my fans know about this song and this other artist. And this is the difference between the label mindset sometimes and the indie mindset. Sometimes we as indies, we bootstrap it to the point where we don't want to spend any money, but we've got to, because we're going to reap all the rewards. Like this is the craziest thing. Like I used to be signed to a label, and for years I toured, and I'm making them rich. I'm selling records for them. But now I'm indie, and what? Now I'm going to get cheap? Now, like you are in the driver's seat of your career, Yes, it's bigger risk, but it's way bigger reward. And when a song does pop off, man, like it's crazy. And it happens all the time. So I want to encourage you, don't be afraid to invest in your career. Be strong and courageous. Like I said in the other video, Joshua 1:8, be strong and courageous. Step out in faith. You know, stop looking at fear and start following your heart, follow your dream, right? And the last thing I'll share is inactive and casual followers and just overall lack of awareness. You know, like we said, like we can't just rely on the algorithms. We can't just rely on just hoping it's going to work out. Hope is a failed strategy every time. We've got to force it to happen. And that's why we got to go all in. And we got to look at the data. What posts work? What kind of songs worked? Like, I think of this Linkin Park song because, like, I think their first single was "Heavy Is the Crown," and that just message in itself is the idea, like "Heavy Is the Crown" being one of the best nu metal rock bands ever. And in the lyric, it says, "This is what you asked for. Heavy is the crown." You know, and I don't know if they're writing to the idea of like, look, we're going to give you what you freaking asked for. So look at the data, look at what your most popular songs are, and give fans more of it. Sure, switch it up, be creative. Get collaborations on it, but go deep on this stuff. If you guys need more help on this stuff, make sure you get my book, Spotify Profits, Song Launch Checklist. I'll put the links below. They're also on Amazon, but I hope this inspired you.